What's going on, guys? For the past 3 days, I've been working on a letter I've wrote to the sim community, and I wanted to go ahead and read that to you because sometimes sitting down and writing something is the only correct way to express yourself. I want you guys to understand that there's plenty of ways to wind up at EA's door, including but not limited to buying a plane ticket and a rental car. So understand when I say that starting a YouTube channel isn't a realistic way of achieving that is because YouTube is a massive place, and while my channel might have a lot of notoriety in our community, it's an infant compared to some of the people I had with me at Community Day. So for anyone to assume I started this channel in 2006 with Community Day 2013 as the goal is absurd to me. And much like the situation with Backbreaker, there's times where things just fall into place. Now, my stance has always been about trying to get football fundamentals and reactions into Madden. And naturally, like-minded people have felt the same way, and I've been fortunate and blessed that they found my channel and thankful of the opportunities it's provided me. That said, I've learned a lot on the way, including respecting others' opinions on what creates simulation football to them. To some, uniforms and equipment are the most critical, while others only care about presentation and graphics. There was a time I didn't respect that. I was short-sighted, and I was wrong. Some people might not know or care about the things that bothers me in Madden. One person stuck out to me was on a Colts forum. This guy was absolutely livid that in Madden 04 and 05, Bob Sanders was white. Who was I to tell him that my issues meant more to him than his? That mine deserved to be fixed first? He might not know football as well as me. He might not even notice the problems I see, even if I pointed them out to him. So when I speak about the sim definition being unclear, that's part of what I speak about. Just like I said, we're a small segment of YouTube, we're just a small segment of gamers. For an example of this, look no further than back to my Madden Impressions video. One person says replicating Sundays is simulation, while the next agrees that answering questions and personnel assignments, filling out injury reports would be a great addition. Listen, I don't want to worry about setting line splints, coding personnel before allowing to be calling a play. I don't want to have to watch virtual gameplay of my opponent, create tendency charts before a game. I don't want to have to examine halftime footage to see what defensive fronts cause me issues and make personnel adjustments before the second half. And while I'm not saying that wouldn't be a fun experience, to have a set of tasks required before playing, which would ultimately be dictated by a person's job in real life, isn't something I would find fun after a while. And for those of you who think that's a far-fetched concept, let me put it to you this way. I don't think any of us can read a defense at the speed of an NFL quarterback, identify a sandbacker, and adjust protections on a pre-snap read at NFL speed. Truth is, only a handful of people can, and those who are capable of it find their way to pro football, even if they can only throw the ball 30 yards. I can't be responsible for anybody else in this community, what they did or didn't do. I control my channel, and I work hard to put out the best content I can on the most consistent basis I've seen anyone else do. You're not always going to agree with what you see or hear, but I've always let you respond and be appreciative that you came. The problem is, some of you were willing to agree with me so much you felt I could speak for you. But later you were unwilling to respect the fact that over time, my views and opinions could change from the interactions I had with 4 game developers. And while I saw a focused progression on my channel that ultimately will allow my criticism to influence positive changes in games, others decided this must have meant I sold out. In turn, they took comments like, "You can get here too," for something beyond face value. And rather than listen to what I said, create alternate meanings, baseless analogies, and fabricated theories for what I must have meant. That's where I feel sim terrorists come into play. Because there's a bunch of isolated people in this community whose only goal is to cause conflict and duress. They do this by creating agendas, implying others are powerless, and labeling people with roles and operating under guidelines. But the fact of the matter is, they don't know what they speak about. And based on the way they handle themselves, they probably never will. Now, granted, that doesn't mean you can't create a parody of the situation to have a laugh, because clearly I have. But if you really feel that I've let this community down, then by all means, step up to the plate and create your own content to say what you feel I don't or can't anymore. And I'm not saying you can't speak about how you feel on the situation, but if you feel betrayed to the point you're spending hours talking about it, both publicly and privately, then it's time to evaluate your commitment to the community and rethink what direction you're going in. I want to address Save 65. I never and will never follow that mindset, mainly because I enjoy football, breaking down plays and sharing them with you. I also see what saving 50 did to backbreaker and all-pro football. So while I'm not condoning buying a product you don't like, I understand a company's perspective when they're entering a marketplace where the mindset is, give us exactly what we want or we're going to advertise not supporting your product every chance we get. And I'm sorry if some of you don't like to hear this, but the community was provided two alternatives to Madden. And we can all debate about how greater they may have been, but from a sales perspective, we didn't support those games enough to justify ongoing development. A save 65 mindset, coupled with that backdrop, and I don't see any publicly traded company stepping into the football game genre. So in closing, if you have a question for me, my concepts, reasons for making a video, somewhere in this letter is a response to you and an answer. My content will speak for itself. Just as those who continue to misconstrue and ignore my content do. When I was told I couldn't speak about the demo, I did in less than 3 hours. When I was told I couldn't say anything constructive, or as some like to say negative about gameplay, I've only shown one fundamental solid play in Madden 25. So I hope this clears things up for some of you, because I fully plan on this being the most successful year for my channel. I'd love to have you share that, but I absolutely respect if you don't want to. But I know I will be back in the week with more content.